foreclosures. I said the F word. It's a word that comes up probably once every 2 weeks right now from somebody, and they're asking, how does that word, foreclosures, relate to everything that we're dealing with right now? And with that, I'm gonna go to the beginning of the story. And the reason is because foreclosures are the end of the story, which means there's a bunch of stuff that has to happen before any of this happens. So with that said, let's go back to the beginning. In the beginning, let's talk about the consumers like you and me. When we start getting squeezed, when all of a sudden we're paying more for everything, interest rates are high, credit cards are high, we start spending less. We stop getting the new couch, we stop going on the vacation, we stop buying the new car that we were thinking of doing. When we start doing that, all of a sudden the employers, the businesses sit there and go, our sales are down. If our sales are down and we can't figure this metric out, you know what? We're gonna have to start laying people off. So they're gonna lower the expenses to increase profitability. So they start making that change. How does that relate to the employees? Well, the employees then have to go out and find another job. If they don't find another job in a market that starts pulling down, then of course what ends up happening is they stop being able to make their car payment, they stop being able to make their rent, or they stop being able to make their mortgage. And then that trickles from there. If we're looking strictly at making your mortgage, and we're talking about in Sonoma County, I will tell you the biggest difference between now and 2008 is the massive amount of equity that most people have. Remember, the equity gap that we had back in 08 was so small that a blip and we were underwater. Most people have a pretty substantial amount of equity. So all that equity usually has to be gone before you start hitting short sales. In foreclosures are usually a byproduct of, it could be 6 to 12 months of not being able to make payments. So is that something in the future? I mean, it could be, but it's way down the way. It's not even close. It's not even part of the conversation right now. Really, for us, it's gonna come back to jobs. It's gonna be coming back to watching hours worked. Hours worked is a metric that I like looking at. And the reason being is because companies are gonna go ahead and they're gonna reduce hours before they actually have to do a layoff. So if you see that hours worked start being reduced, that's usually the companies saying, hey, you know what, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna have a reduction in hours in case this is just a season or a blip on the calendar. Once they realize it's a trajectory though, they're gonna go ahead and do the layoffs, in which case we're gonna kind of continue along that timeline. So with that said, this is just one of the metrics that we look at, but it is an important one when we're trying to understand, here's Sonoma County, here's the US as a whole. How does it all play together and how do all the pieces work together? So again, we'll continue this on the next video. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.